You saved our lives.
Lieutenant, you took a direct hit. How do you feel?
That wound looks bad. I don't think the lieutenant can talk.
Medal of Honor Above and Beyond attempts to return to the series' roots with a VR twist. Its frantic Nazi-killing action brings you into the chaos of the Second World War in locations like Omaha Beach and Panamunda, but it's inconsistent in tone and quality, making for an experience that drags on past its welcome. That is, except for the truly impressive Gallery, which is a documentary dedicated to shedding light on the true stories of those who fought and served. Medal of Honor Above and Beyond itself, however, pales in comparison not only to the legendary legacy that it attempts to draw from, but also in comparison to other recent VR shooters. Before you can jump in, though, you have to get past Medal of Honor's shockingly high system specs that warn of performance issues on anything less than an RTX 2080 or equivalent. And you need a spectacular 340 gigabytes of storage space to even launch the installer in the first place before it settles into a mere 180 gigs. That's right, almost as big as Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Holy smokes! And for all that, there are a diverse number of wonderfully detailed scenes throughout, including the gorgeous French countryside and the Norwegian Telemark. That said, NPCs lack anywhere close to the same amount of detail. There's a pretty good amount of content, at least. Between a lengthy campaign mode, online multiplayer, a versatile survival mode, and that wonderful gallery mode filled with interviews with living World War II veterans, there's plenty to see and do here. However, if you came expecting the VR equivalent of Respawn's conventional shooters like Apex Legends and Titanfall 2, the slow pace of the campaign is going to be a disappointment. Instead, the often low-key missions take about 9 hours to clear from start to finish. The story is split up into different missions across the European theater, and there's something enthralling about standing atop frozen mountains in Norway or commanding an M4 Sherman tank into battle that you just can't replicate outside of VR. Likewise, there's no equivalent to landing on the shores of Omaha Beach and using your hands to physically plant dynamite on the hedgehog blockades while taking enemy fire from all sides. The problem is, the other half of it isn't all that memorable, and by the end it feels like it's dragged on too long. There are a handful of different and interesting challenges in the campaign, such as searching for mines, planting bombs, and climbing out of a rapidly sinking Nazi U-boat. Each makes pretty good use of the motion controllers. However, it's a shame that there's an utter lack of physics-based interactions throughout the campaign. In the same year when we've played Half-Life Alyx and even The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, this minimal level of interactivity feels primitive. Medal of Honor presents its vignettes with the exuberance of a high school history teacher. It wants to hurriedly explain what happened before rapidly switching to the next scene, rather than letting you bask in the emotional impact that these events might have had. And then you're back in the action. And while it can be exciting, the action can't overcome the annoyingly bullet sponge enemy AI. And for as dramatic as Medal of Honor can be, that clashes with the stiffly acted NPCs with facial expressions that can be jarringly weird. Multiplayer is split up into the Deathmatch, Team Deathmatch, Domination, Mad Bomber, and Blast Radius modes. They all have their subtle charms, but except for the territory control domination mode, they each basically break down to killing the most enemy players in order to get the most points, and there's little more to it than that. It's great that Medal of Honor's satisfyingly punchy weapons handle very nicely in VR, giving appropriate feedback both on-screen and in the controller's haptic motors. There are also a lot of them to pick up when you're fighting through the campaign and in survival mode. OG weapons like the M1 Garand and the MP40 produce a lovely kickback, as does the combat shotgun. That said, it's disappointing that the number of them you can find in multiplayer modes is thinned down to about 8 or 9 total, which makes that mode feel less fleshed out. Survival mode is a little different and more interesting. It's a set of challenges where you've got to survive an onslaught of Nazis for 5 minutes without dying. You can mix things up by adding harder challenges in exchange for a higher score multiplier, or you can sacrifice your score multiplier in exchange for boons like more powerful weapons and abundant healing syringes. You can also mix and match these things, setting up interesting scenarios against the AI whenever you feel like it. Again, though, the true prize of Above and Beyond is the gallery, which is dedicated to telling the stories of real World War II veterans. It's both a comprehensive showcase of interviews and of breathtaking 360-degree footage from inside important locations most of us may never get to visit, like real overgrown battlefields, bombed-out Nazi bunkers, and U-boat manufacturing facilities. It's unexpectedly immersive and affecting. Every part of it is an absolute must-see. But in a sense, it's as if Medal of Honor took its fabulous and historically critical gallery hostage, behind the tremendous storage space and performance demands needed to run the less appealing game attached to it.
I saw the body there, but there was nothing I could do. He wasn't wounded, so I couldn't treat him. And the shells were falling, and I had to keep moving.
The action in Medal of Honor Above and Beyond never quite rises to the lofty goals it sets for itself as a way of honoring the real soldiers of World War II. Its single-player campaign and survival modes are enjoyable and offer a unique way to experience famous World War II battles reenacted in VR, but don't do much to distinguish themselves beyond that in terms of shooter mechanics. Considering the absolutely wild system requirements, there is a staggering cost of entry to this ride, and while it's a decent enough shooter, it ends up falling short of 2020's VR standards. All of that comes as part of the package with its truly impressive set of interviews with World War II veterans and virtual tours of historic locations, but honestly, those would probably be better off separated from the average at best shooter that's handcuffed to them. For more VR, check out our reviews of Half-Life Alyx and The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, and for everything else, stick with IGN.